There should not be one billionaire in America. None. And I'll tell you why. Because there is nobody that works hard enough to earn $1 billion. And my argument is this. The 2 jobs I did in my life that were physically the most demanding and mentally the most difficult that I ever did paid me the least amount of money. One was going through buds, and I challenge any billionaire to put up with 6 weeks of that at $62 every 2 weeks, you know. And the second was right before I went in the Navy. I had a job with the Minnesota Highway Department, couple bucks above minimum wage. I worked for the bridge crew, and you know what my job was? I worked a 4-day work week, 10 hours a day so I could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the weekend. You're 18, of course you're going to do that. But I worked 40 hours in 4 days on the bridge crew, and guess what I did? Ran the 80-pound jackhammer. I challenge any billionaire to run the jackhammer for 40 hours 1 week and tell me he works harder than that. No, he doesn't. That's why I believe there should not be a billionaire in the world.
Ventura
Minimum wage was designed so that one income earner could support 2 adults and children and own a house.
What's up, you got K?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is your host, Most the Great Day Late Dollar Short News, live and direct, where we ride for respect. The American dream has now become a nightmare. What you heard was absolutely the truth, man. I grew up in Bakersfield, California. I was born in 1977. My grandfather was a breadwinner in his household. He worked for the city of Bakersfield, and my grandmother never learned how to drive. She never had a job in her life. She had credit cards, jewelry. You know, we weren't affluent or well off. Nonetheless, he could support his whole family on one job. I hear a lot about women complaining about going 50-50. In today's economy, most relationships are 50-50. I'm not saying that there's not men out there making enough money to, you know, provide for the whole household and a woman doesn't have to work, but the vast majority, the societal norm, and like I stated on the last video, everybody's gonna have to work until they die. Beyonce and Jay-Z, they still working, man. They still on the road, you know. A lot of these entertainers that should have retired a long time ago. Not saying that Jay-Z and Beyonce aren't well off enough to where they could just, you know, sit down somewhere, but, you know, hey, they want a paycheck too. You know, Shaq's still working. Shaq's still doing commercials. Shaq's still building his wealth. You dig? So long after he's gone, his legacy can still live on and breathe on. I think people are missing the bigger picture in this all. Jesse the Body Ventura was absolutely 100% right. Why should someone deserve to be a billionaire? I don't know, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that, man. Because the hardest jobs I've ever had paid the least amount of money, man. I remember I used to work I worked in the watermelon field, y'all, pitching watermelons. You know what I'm saying? In Mettler, California. You dig what I'm saying? I've poured tar. I've done concrete work. The hardest amount of jobs, the hardest amount of work I've done has always paid me the least amount of money. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the people on top, you know, they cut tax breaks for their rich billionaire friends, and they audit every move that we make as it relates to what we doing with our taxes, with our tax dollars. You dig what I'm saying? But having one job nowadays is too close to having none. You gotta have a job, you gotta have a side hustle, you know, and a lot of people are in relationships, you know, and this is sad and unfortunate because they can't afford to do, they can't afford to do nothing else, man. They can't afford to move out on their own. A lot of people are just unhappy and miserable, but they hunker down. It's a lot of family members living together that don't even get along with each other. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of people who are roommated up. You know what I'm saying? There's so many rooms and stuff for rent nowadays. It's just the economy is so bad. Like people not being able to retire, people not being able to buy a home. That was the norm. You know, when I say the American dream has turned into the American nightmare, it was normal, it was regular for people to be able to buy a home in the 80s and the 90s. I worked with a real estate agent, and we were having a conversation. I asked him a question. I was like, hey man, is it a buyer's market right now or a seller's market? He said, man, it's in the middle. You know, I'm in California. You know, I don't know where where y'all viewing this from, where y'all watching this from, but the medium home in California is close to $500,000. And he said that it's neither a seller's market nor is it a buyer's market. He says just in this weird space. He said like the medium home, like if a home pops up for like $200,000 or $300,000, like they hurry up and snatch it off the market. But a lot of the homes that at the medium, people don't meet the credit requirements to even buy a home nowadays. So in this weird space, man, the world is a ghetto. Hey, this is your host, Most the Great, Day Late, Dollar Short News, live and direct, where we ride for respect, man. We out.